Got duck feet. Okay, we gotta get started.
Okay.
Cool, huh?
Yeah, you got this.
Hello. Welcome back.
We're starting.
Been started.
Oh, hello.
How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm a little spacey in my head today. So this should make for a fun conversation.
Cool.
But I feel good. Yeah, I'm feeling like some new circuits coming online that have been dormant for a while. So that's very exciting and invigorating. So I'm rolling with that.
Cool.
What about you? What's up?
Pretty good. Relaxing. I've had a good week. Honestly.
Yeah, we had that Agape event on Sunday.
That was beautiful.
Incredible. Thank you so much. It was so nice to receive.
Right? Mm-hmm. And just do weird stuff. Nothing about alignment. It's just
weird.
I was thinking to myself, I'll probably clip back all the times I've mentioned Kundalini. That was totally type Kundalini shit. I was like, I hope Leah doesn't like all of a sudden realize that I'm totally into this shit.
That's so funny.
So it was great. We had breath awareness. We started with cacao ceremony, breath awareness, gentle movements and seated, flowing of the spine, and just moving the hands and letting go, and this ecstatic dance.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's just relaxing.
It was outside. The weather was
beautiful.
Stunning. It could not have been more perfect weather.
Yes, the weather was beautiful. Beautiful event, beautiful healers. The transformational breath work then occurred after. Mm-hmm. Very powerful.
It was lovely. I had such a good time.
Yeah, it was good.
Beautiful space.
Yeah, beautiful space. We'll be doing that again. But today, we have something that's very popular. Everybody loves this. Everybody talks about this. All the girls specialize in this. We have Miami's best booty specialists out there too. We're talking about glutes and hamstrings today. Talk about how you can enhance your elasticity, mobility in the lower body, which also in turn gives you nice mobility all throughout the back, you know, as mobilizing the posterior chain is very important for lower body and glute strength, hamstring strength. Let's just say lower body. Glute and hammy is more popular, so we're using that word as a trendy word, but it's the full posterior chain and the lower body strength.
So when you say posterior chain, will you explain what it is so people fully understand? Because that term is thrown around a lot. And so I just want them to like have a basic understanding. When we say posterior chain, this is what we're talking about, because it's...
Yes. When we talk about posterior chain, above all and always, we have to always understand that the fascia comes first before the muscular skeletal system. So posterior chain, when working with fascia lines, it runs from pretty much the base of the top of your skull all the way to the bottom of your feet. It's one whole connective tissue that runs down. We all know about fascia lines, and that's the fascia posterior chain lines. But also there's not just the elasticity and flexibility of the posterior chain fascia, because as you know already, as we studied, the fascia has a lot to do with your interoception and benefits a lot from the stretching. That's why we're going to talk about stretching. This is fascia release, but then you have posterior chain strength, stabilizers, big muscles, deeper muscles that support your spine and the stability of your spine, stabilizers of the hips. Your feet are very involved too, so there's a lot of musculature in the posterior chain, but that would be more into the strength, in my opinion, when I talk about posterior chain. It's the muscle tone, muscle build, which is different than the fascia.
Correct.
Fascia is different. Fascia will be a connective tissue. But going back to what I said in the beginning, you need the flexibility, the mobility in the posterior chain before you even get into the more strengthening routines. If you really want to strengthen effectively, of course, that's why we honor fascia first. It must be released. It must be decompressed. It must be rebalanced. And then we can get into more deeper types of strength and conditioning for the posterior chain. Any input on that? Does that answer your question about the posterior chain lines?
Yeah, I think you explained it really well so that people understand.
Yeah. I see it in two ways. For fascia lines, which we'll put up, and then the whole intensity of the musculature of it.
So spine, low back, hamstrings, calves,
feet, plantar.
Feet for sure.
The neck is very involved too. I'm going to be putting little clips up there. The neck is very involved too when it comes to stabilizing the posterior chain strength. A lot of people ignore the position of the neck and the alignment of the neck,
for sure.
and you will throw off your whole entire chain line if the alignment of the neck is off. So it's very interconnected as a whole entire section that you want to execute correctly to be able to execute all the muscles correctly. So it goes from the bottom of your feet all the way to literally the top of your head. So it's a big line of muscles that you have there.
I think that answers it perfectly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's a little bit of an intro breakdown. There you go. The complexity of it. And then we'll get into let's talk about positioning, body positioning.
Love it.
So above all, and we stress this a lot, Malia and I, and it's so annoying, and I hate to talk about it, but the posture that you express on the daily, you know, how you stand, how you sit, if your feet are pointed outwards, you know, this is how you're driving. Your mechanic, we already know that. We have also little bits and clips of this conversation that we've had. And you want to make sure that you're trying to practice nice, effective posture and movement throughout the day that reflects that strong lower body, picking things up effectively, going to pick up your shoe in a nice, strong way, you know, taking nice walks, but understanding that your gait, you're aware of your walking. Once again, interoception and stuff like that. That's where proprioception comes in, and in the way that you're moving throughout the day. So you can do all the lower body workouts you want, but if you're standing crappy,
you can't out train the 8 hours you're sitting at a desk or the poor posture you have during the day for one, you know, say you work out 7 hours a week. 7 hours does not compare to the 40 hours that you're at a desk or on your couch. You know, depending on where you work from or what kind of work you're in, you can't out train that.
Or people want to ask me, how do I execute a perfect squat? I hope you're executing it on the daily to the best of your ability, because you can't expect to go from squatting incorrectly and picking things up incorrectly from the floor and then want to go and lift some heavy weights or back squat or do anything like that.
All right, pause.
Pause. Zeus wants to get... So you want to increase your lower body strength and movement patterns in your day-to-day living activities. And then we can start to really talk about nice, strong, built legs that are not only going to look good, but also you're going to feel good, you're going to move well, you're going to age well. It takes a lot. You know, these are how you ride about life every day. So your lower body is actually really important. You know?
Absolutely.
You can be out of commission with your arm or your wrist kind of like broken and still be walking, moving, doing hinging and stretching and getting most of your routine out. But if you have an ankle, you're immobile, you're sitting, you're on crutches, you're screwed. So that's how important the legs are for our movement, you know, for our just existing and feeling well and being strong for all ages. So even from young, you know, to aging population, very important. So check your alignment.
I think foot position is so often disregarded. I see so many people that are training and like one foot, usually the right, and there's lots of reasons for that we could talk about. But anyways,
let's talk about that because I have a theory too. Don't express it yet. I think we have the same theory. Okay.
Anyways, your right foot, most people, the right foot turns out just a little bit, or one of the feet, doesn't matter, turns out just a little bit. And those small deviances do create change up the hip and how you lift.
Absolutely.
Right? You want your feet to be same. So if you're working out in a turned out position, they need to be turned out equally. And if you need a straight foot position, then you need to train the straight foot, because that turned out is usually a compensation that you don't have the ability to do in a straight position.
In a straight position.
Which means you want to train in that straight position and pull back a little bit.
Even when you're doing shoulders, like we're going to go into the lower body, of course, but this is also in your weight training routine. If you're working out, if you're doing upper body, you want that foot straight or your whole body will collapse. You understand? You're doing yoga, you want your chair pose with feet straight, please, or you'll be doing just some crazy stuff. You'll be mechanically.
Feet straight does not have to be together. I know lots of people like to teach their chair pose with feet together, and that I don't agree with.
Hip width, no.
Feet straight, yes.
Feet straight, hip width. Depends, everybody's hip is different, so.
Right. I don't ever tell people where they should, unless we're doing something very specific.
It's specific, like a squat.
Right. But most time I'm like, wherever it feels comfortable.
And
like
just straight.
Straight.
Straight. Yeah, just do it straight. So even in your regular workouts, even in your yoga classes, while you're sitting, while you're walking, while you're standing, while you're working, please put your feet straight. That's so important. Forget about your pelvic position, whether it's anterior or posterior. Unless you address those femurs and you make sure that they're straight, you're not stacking your pelvis correctly over your femurs. They're your stilts, so you can forget about it. Forget about addressing pelvic forward or tilt or anterior or posterior. First address the femurs and then you can track your way up there. Duck feet, collapsing arches, crossing your legs annoys me.
As I'm sitting?
No, that's yogi style. I'm talking about like this.
Oh.
I'm gonna sit like this 5 hours. Damn. You can forget about that. I don't know. You stretch that out, the stability is gone. The muscles are out of alignment, so don't cross your feet, Don't stand duck feet. It's gonna collapse your arches. It's gonna give you that flat foot look, You can address collapse arches by addressing the alignment of the feet, and the feet will naturally start to change their gripping mechanics into the ground.
And I think it's really important to address that this is over a long period of time. This is not acute injuries. This is not is, you sit like this, you stand like this for a long period of time. Yeah. These changes, and because they're unconscious.
Yeah.
So this isn't just like this one time you stand like this. This is your constant pattern, unconscious, over a long period of time.
How you stand, how you walk and rest throughout the day reinforces the proper pore patterns. Small habits like crossing your legs, leaning to one side, standing awkwardly.
I want to see an awkward position in that.
Standing awkwardly. We do such weird things as humans sometimes.
Humans are weird.
Creative balance is over time.
It's so weird.
Encourage yourself to practice nice lower body alignment during your daily activities like sweeping, mopping, doing dishes, picking up objects, not just workouts. Mopping is a cool one.
I have a video way back in the day on Instagram about mopping.
We'll put that up. That's really cute. I like that type of stuff. Sweeping too, So it builds natural strength and stability.
Because we bend over, I think the last time I read a statistic, it was like 1,500 times a day in these small, bending over, picking something up, reaching for something. So if you're doing that poorly, it's, again, over a long period of time. That's why I always remember this, someone bends over to put their shoe on and they blow out their back and they're like, I was just putting my shoe on. It's not that one time that you were putting your shoe on, it's the thousands of times before that. Yes. I was picking up a Kleenex off the floor and I blew out my back. That picking up the Kleenex was not the,
Yeah, so a very big tip for the aging population is, you can focus your mind more on doing your daily movements very nice and strong and practicing maybe a nice hinge to pick your stuff up or nice getting up and off the chair as a natural way to strengthen. And doing that will, kind of get you the workout you need for the day.
And it will enhance the quality of your life.
Yeah.
And just those small, simple things.
But if you're someone who is of age that's looking to improve their gait, their movements, or getting in and out of car, up and off the chair. Focus on your daily movements, how you stand, how you pick things up, how you get up off the chair. We have videos. We should do a little video on this.
Well, it's so interesting. I had a woman call the office yesterday, and she had a hip replacement. It was great. It was what she needed. She felt great. PT, all the things. She gets a new car, and now she's having problems with her hip.
So wait, let's go back. Why do you think the right foot is always externally rotated?
Oh! Well, because we're talking about car, you're going to talk about driving now. But
I call it the chronic right foot. We don't drive stick shift anymore.
Oh, I used to have a stick.
Always use the fucking right side of, because my hip hurts. I can't control it. I'm doing all these stretches. My right hip is just, I get out of the car and it's like, oh.
Well, and so
chronic flexion of my quad. Micro flexion.
That's so funny. And then super geeky. When we look at the rib cage positioning, this fucking rib cage, it's always the rib cage.
The rib cage faults.
The liver sits up and under on the right side. So for a lot of people, there's that subtle shift and it rotates the left side back. So there's that subtle rotation of a little lift on the right and then a little rotation on the left because of it's not distributed equally.
The organs itself.
Right. So that subtle shift is usually one of the reasons that we have these subtle mechanical differences.
So between that
and then if you've had a child, you have that chronic hip hike holding a child for many years. So that's not for everyone, but for a lot of women and men, but mostly women, they're constantly having their hip turned out and hiked up to set the baby on the hip.
On that dominant side.
And that's usually just whatever side, both sides sometimes. But there's just a dominant side that you can hold and do things with the other hand. But anatomically, it's because the liver sits a little bit differently, so it offsets and pulls us back a little bit, which is why the hip kind of rotates, and then you have a little turnout to counterbalance that. Then that just turns into more exaggerated over
compensation over time, just because of the organs and the structure of the body internally too.
Yeah, so there's that, subtle asymmetry even in the body.
Beautiful.
All right, anyways, moving on.
I still blame driving in traffic like this. I think we should just stick shift ourselves out of here.
Do they even make stick shifts anymore?
That's what I'm saying. Like everyone's just using chronically their right side foot.
And their foot turns out when they...
Yeah, because you're also going like this to, kind of switch it up. So stretch a little bit. Makes sense why you get out of the car a little bit uncomfortable if you have a long drive over 45 minutes to an hour drive.
That's anywhere in South Florida.
We're just used to 45 plus minute drives, even if it's going to the corner here.
My stepmom was here and she was like, how long does that take? And I was like, about 20 minutes. And she goes, you say that for everything. I'm like, everything takes 20 minutes. It doesn't matter where you're going.
So yeah, cool info, great info from Malia. Mechanical stuff that we encounter in life just through adaptation, industrialization. We walk less, we sit more.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on to important overlooked stabilizers. Okay, so to my strong people who focus only on big muscles, like the booty, or the quads, or the hamstring even, there's an important series of muscles that are totally overlooked when it comes to really executing the lower body, and that is the adductors.
Favorite.
So I don't even know how this is so overlooked. I think Malia and I are probably the only people who give a shit about this. The adductors. Weak adductors impact hip alignment and pelvic floor function. For both men and women. Very interconnected muscles that run into center of your pelvis, hooks onto like the little hooks of the pelvis in the bottom.
And I think that's important to note when you say hooks, because when you engage them, that's what anchors the pelvis down. And that's so important for positioning.
Exactly. That's why stabilizer. It's a big stabilizer. I see a lot of my very athletic fitness girls, booty. The adductors are so unstable. Yes, they have beautiful glutes and hamstrings, but they're in pain. They have some type of knee pain. They have some type of sacral pain. They have probably a hyperlordosis. So the adductors, and keeping them very strong, healthy, and stabilized, not only are they going to make you minimize that pain and discomfort that occurs in knees, that instability in the foot, but it's going to help you mechanically move better, because it's stabilizing you. Like Malia said, it's anchoring you into the ground. It's giving you a lot of stability. So it's going to give you stability, pain relief, and pelvic floor health, because you're strengthening all the center muscles that
yes,
support
I was just going to say, that midline is going to keep you in contact with that big toe mound when you walk. Yes. You're decompressed.
So you can be working on your pelvic floor strength through having the understanding and the awareness that your inner thigh muscles matter. You work them, you engage them as you're doing your lunges. You're strengthening your pelvic floor. As you're doing your balancing poses in yoga, you understand how to align your foot, how to engage your big toe, which runs into the pelvic floor, and stabilizes the adductors, And also we do a lot of techniques that engage upper inner thighs and work the adductors on their own.
Yes.
At least we do it by itself.
Yep.
Not just in lunges. We know that we have to be aware of having that adductor engagement and awareness.
So let's talk about what so many people think of adductor work is that machine where they squeeze in.
No. Nah. We'll talk about machines. Remind me, machines are for beginners, very beginner stuff. Very beginner when it comes to the gym. Not even beginner, like, I wouldn't put anybody on an adductor machine because I just don't believe in it.
No, adductor, I don't like
that. But machines are not made for everybody's body.
Right.
We'll start there. That's it. Like, 20 people will jump on that machine. It'll probably be fit for like 3 other people.
Right.
So it does not work your adductor. You cannot isolate your adductor. You have to work it out in a chain. You have to engage and stabilize the foot and use props maybe to squeeze into the inner thighs. You have to fire up that deep pelvic and deep abdominal muscles through inner thigh engagement. So it's not doing the same thing. It's not isolating and leaving the foot out of the equation. No.
It's silly. I know it would rile you up though.
Yeah, no, it's silly. You want to have that big toe engagement, that line that runs I'm going to put all the images here, that runs all through up that chain. Not only stabilizing your ankle, strengthening your inner thigh, strengthening your pelvic floor, strengthening your deep abdominal muscles as you're doing all this. So it's going to help you stabilize.
So when she speaks about the deep core muscles, I want you to think like your transverse abdominis.
Yes.
Because that comes in
TVA.
to your pelvis.
Yes.
And that's... So many people try to activate that deep core by like laying on your back and lifting your legs up. Great, but that's not
the inner thigh.
That's not what we're looking for.
That when you squeeze the inner thighs towards the midline, it's like a wrapping effect. Imagine it's like a suit that just rolls in and tightens in.
Like a scroll rolling in.
You're zipping it from the center of the body. So you're really getting like a whole chunk of fascia lines and groups of muscles just tightening. It's much more powerful.
Mm-hmm. And most people can feel it and use it and recruit it more once they find it.
So,
and definitely for plantar fasciitis in the feet.
Absolutely, yes.
That's that midline of the anchoring of the arches of the feet.
Yeah, it's so complex. Lower body exercising is not just do some squats. There's a lot to it. You really create a lot of mechanical stress and breakdown if you're weight training with improper lower body mechanics. They always tell me my knee hurts. I don't squat anymore in lunges. They always tell me I used to squat. I wonder why you used to squat. I don't even want to know what you were doing. I don't care. Relearn it all. Just reset. Because so weak adductors impact hip alignment, pelvic floor function, knee pain, low back pain, piriformis syndrome. Piriformis syndrome is that shortening of the piriformis when you go like this and externally pointed, it tightens in. When you internally rotate, you're going to lengthen it to the outer edge.
Which means that you will create space and help with any symptoms of sciatica.
Sciatica, there you go. SI joint dysfunction. My SI joint hurts. My SI joint hurts. I know, it's hard. We believe in the rib cage too a lot. I blame SI joint on rib cage positioning also. But
100%.
But if it's very externally pointed, the foot, and it's really out of alignment and the adductor is weak, you're gonna get a lot of SI joint dysfunction. So dysfunction as a whole.
At the back of the pelvis.
Compression. Pulling sensations into the inner thighs. People who say they have pubic pain and IT band syndrome. Once again, the adductors destabilized, everything just flopping to the outside, everything just shortened on the outer edge. Tight.
And then the inside got long.
And weak. Incredible. Plantar fasciitis, flat feet, duck feet. Hip flexor tightness, another one. Once again, that adductor is unstable, that hip flexor is taking a big toll, getting pulled all over the place.
Well, the hip flexor, I can see the word, the psoas. Helps
I can see the psoas.
I can see the word.
Wait, see it here.
Can't think of the name, but I can see it. Helps internally rotate. So if you have hip flexor tightness or weakness, look to your legs and where they point out, because that piriformis, not the piriformis, the psoas, helps circumduct those femur bones to keep them turned in.
Yes, stabilizes
So
you.
that psoas is so important.
That's where it's leading up to poor squat mechanic and pelvic tilts. Forget about the squat if the adductors are not stable. So, loss of athletic performance and power output, because it's such an important stabilizer. It makes me think of athletes that get a lot of hamstring pulls and knee injuries. Soccer being the most, I can see how their adductors get affected a lot.
Oh, because they're running in an
kicking.
External.
Yeah, they're doing so. Rehab.
I was thinking of basketball too.
Yeah, rehab for all athletes. If you're an athlete, if you're athletic and you got knee pain, you got the lower body feeling discomfort, hip flexors, focus on your adductors a lot.
I taught at the university this week, and an athlete, a basketball player on the basketball team came to me and he was like, that was incredible. Like, where do you teach around here? And I was like, oh, I'm so far away. But he was like, that felt so good.
Good.
Right.
A relief. So if you're an athletic person, inner thighs, make sure you're strengthening them. I know your trainer, an athletic trainer, is going to tell you strengthen your glutes and squat. Don't listen to him. You know why? Because they haven't looked at stuff like this yet. You understand? A lot of trainers are still missing this stuff. They're overlooking this. And this, you can look at it visually by pulling out the anatomy, which I'll place here, looking up at the fascia lines, and it's there. You know, it's not made up. So it just hasn't gotten to you yet. Make sure you take care of that. Make sure you address that and throw that into that. Different exercises will yield different results, you know, so doesn't hurt to try. It acts like a side-to-side stabilizer. Once again, more athletic performance stuff. For active athletic tennis, also a side-to-side sport.
Yes. Pickleball.
It helps balance the pelvis during lunges, squats, of course, and single leg workout. And directly impacts the SI joint stability, protect the lower back from excessive movements. Very true. This is the nerdy stuff. This is very techy stuff. It's complex, yeah.
And it's an organization, right? The big muscles like the glutes and the hamstrings and the quads will try to take over for the smaller, less dominant muscles.
Yeah.
The more stabilizing muscles, I would say.
The stronger the stabilizers are, the more you can trust yourself in performing a little bit stronger, you know? So that's why the little work and the stabilization work and the correction work is so important. And some people think they will lose strength by doing it. It's not true. It's going to stabilize it. It's the opposite. You're going to be able to push yourself a little better without fear of injuring yourself. So, all right. And then strength and flexibility. Why flexibility is important? You want to cover some flexibility stuff? Sure. He was like, I thought you had this. You were doing so good in that.
I'm just listening.
Well, beautiful. The notes. Yeah, I'll start off. Beautiful combination of a healthy lower body is having both the stability, the elasticity, flexibility, and the strength.
And for my really flexible people, or people with POTS, or again, I see the words, hypermobility, can't think of it.
Like hyperflexibility?
Hypermobility, yep. Can't think of it. I can see the word. Anyways, moving on. They want a lot more strength and less flexibility. Like, they don't want to be working on as much flexibility, where some people need to work on the flexibility because they need that range of motion. They need to be able to use it. I think a really good test, or a lot of people who have really weak hamstrings are like, my hamstrings are so tight, I can't do this because I'm so tight. But when you give them the hamstring test for tightness, it's not their hamstrings are tight, they're actually weaker. So it's good to know where you fall in that category, to know but they feel tight because they need to be strengthened.
Hear me now. Yes, hear me now too with that. That's a good observation when talking about more hyper-flexible people who are active, like high-level yogis and stuff like that. Honestly, for some reason, when you correct their body positioning and put them into an actual hip hinge, their hamstrings are very tight. Their flexibility just disappears all of a sudden. Because I feel like sometimes hyper-flexibility is not through the correct ranges and through the joint ranges. It's done differently. It's done through a lot of compensation. So when you actually correct their form, you can see that the hip flexor tightness, the hamstring locking, like it doesn't, so a lot of being careful. If you're very flexible, you may not be super flexible. You may not even be doing your flexibility correctly. It's just like a mimic of a flexibility. It's like big muscles that have no stabilizers, like a big bodybuilder that's actually not strong.
Right.
Like a flexible looking yoga teacher that's actually not really flexible. They're just kind of compensating throughout. So it's weird. I've seen a lot of yogis like that, because a lot of yoga teachers have come to work with me, and because we do more like the alignment stuff,
right? Yes, I've worked with a lot of injured yogis. So
we're like, your hip flexor is actually tight. You can do this crazy pose, but you're not actually doing it through hip flexor expansion. You're doing it through thoracic, hyperextension. Like your hip flexor is shortened, your thoracic is like back bending into a different universe. Yes. So it's very weird. So
see that a lot.
Yeah, be very careful. Once again, the correction and the alignments will help with that stuff. So it's tricky. That's a tricky one.
Well, I think, okay, so now I can see what you're talking about. It came to me in the visualization is that the back is taking the load for the hamstrings.
Yes.
So when they're so flexible, it's because there's so much flexion in the spine to make it. But when you take the spine and keep the spine, so if we were talking about the hip hinge, now we have a nice neutral spine. Now the hamstrings are like, ugh.
But the true range of motion is through that joint, through that hinging, through the shoulder, the joint, it's not through that hyperspinal flexibility. That's not range. It's very limited range what the spine has.
Right.
It's respectable range. It's not a ball and socket joint. Where you can create more range of motion. But yes, so compensation is totally possible in flexibility. Same way like compensation is possible in very strong, athletic looking people. Like a bodybuilder that has trouble doing a leg lift up against the wall.
Oh, so many strong people have no stability.
Yeah. So.
And I see them all day at the office, and that's just those repetitive patterns. So often when we have injuries, it's lower the weight, keep doing the same thing, or strengthen this muscle. But that's missing the point of the deep stabilizers.
Exactly, the correction, the alignment correction, and moving through the right areas to really open up those. So if you're extra strong, still, whether you're super built or super flexible, check where you are moving through. Try to preserve your spine. Try to make sure you're actually practicing evidence-based flexibility and mobility. That includes my hyper flexy people, which means hinging through hip, making sure your knees are not locked, flexing your ankle so you can lengthen the
things.
fascia tissue, like correction stuff. You see, improve ankle dorsiflexion for better squat and lunges. So things like that. So both is important. You want strong, mobile, elastic lower body with a lot of elasticity. I don't like saying very much flexibility because it seems so like girly.
Oh.
I hate saying flexibility because it's just, you think of like some super fancy skinny girl stretching.
Oh, right. I hear.
Not even I can get into that range. Listen, I'm thin, but I got muscles, man.
You're pretty flexible.
I'm trying. I'm like,
Yeah, no, you have good flexibility.
Okay. So, yeah. And then let me quickly get into the training part of this. So, this is a science. Enough of boring you with the science. That's a lot. Sorry, it has to be so complicated. I wish it was easier, but it ain't. So, take things serious. Take your body and your movements serious, okay? Take training concepts serious. Make sure you're following the right people with the right ideas,
And this will help you get out of those repetitive injuries and nagging chronic pains that everyone's like, I'll just deal with this. Or as they age, then they stop doing the things they enjoy not that it's an easy fix, but it's a relearning.
So if you're watching this right now and you're someone that has knee pain while you're lunging, while you're squatting, while you're walking, or foot pain, or plantar, or hip pain, or sacrum, anything I mentioned here, please drop a comment. Please send us a message. Let's talk.
Let us know.
Let's talk, and let's talk about this also gives us topic ideas, what your posture may be looking like and what you may be doing incorrectly that's causing this. Everybody's so different. We learn from our clients and we learn from the people we work with more than anything.
Time. Yep.
We learn from them and from the evidence. That's it. We don't matter.
Just
It's the evidence and the client. So we went over hip and knee pain. So some exercises that you can do to help to stabilize your lower body are one of my favorites. Once again, working and strengthening the inner thigh. I'm going to put clips from our last deep core and lunge series because you can practice these as fundamentals to help build that strength and stability that you need.
And it doesn't have to take away for your fun. Like, I know so many people love leg day. It's like not my favorite. I love upper body. Anyways,
I love upper body.
This is your dynamic warm up. This isn't, another day that you have to work out or you have to skip your favorite leg exercises.
Oh.
This is your dynamic warm up to turn on your stabilizers, connect to your stabilizers, and then do all the fun things you love with those muscles turned on, the awareness of those muscles and how the alignment should feel. And then you have more power in your workouts.
And then think about it. We're not even telling them to do stretches. Like, we're actually telling you to work muscles prior to working bigger muscles.
So work those muscles.
You're going to be working. So we ain't telling you not to. So try out some of the stabilization techniques that will help you fire up important muscles and decompress and just align something really quickly. Come into awareness before your workout. All right. Second round, lunges. Once again, we spoke about this, how important single-sided or unilateral exercises are. Lower body, unilateral exercises. Do them, execute them, work on them, put them on the top of your to-do list of your exercise routine, then worry about your squats because you're going to get major leg gains, major glute gains, major hamstring, major stability. You're going to stabilize the heck out of yourself. There's very different styles of lunges that you can do. I have a freaking handbook of lunges.
They're her favorite.
I have so many. Malia really likes the unilateral lunge, hinge lunge a lot.
I love that.
Yes.
And then I love taking that from a hinge into
Traditional
a more
lunge. I do more quad loaded lunges because I do like to work out my quad a lot. Just because it's good. You can execute that stuff, knee over toe stuff. I'll put some info on there. Of course, with all your alignment techniques, the better your true mobility improves, your elasticity, your awareness, your alignment during your day-to-day living. You can go into what people say is knee over toes, all right? But you got to have the mechanics, the hip mechanics, and the elasticity of the tissues to be able to do that. And I'll put some cool lunges here that I do that are a little bit more advanced and are deeper, and they load the quad much more. For those of you guys that want to show off, huh? No, I'm just kidding. I love strengthening stuff, so you can just go ahead and take some from that. So lunges, unilateral. Unilateral glute. Unilateral means working one single side, okay? Doesn't have to just be lunges. Single leg glute bridges, lateral leg lifts, glute kickbacks. Unilateral, you're gonna be able to build that side to side strength, take your time with each side. You're gonna really work just that one side. You're gonna go to the other side.
One side's always less strong.
You can address it.
Right.
You can address it, you're gonna build that strength. So it doesn't just include lunges and balancing style workouts and routine, but also those single leg glute bridges, those
RDLs, Bulgarians, all of the things.
So many.
And then so many variations of all of those.
Yes. So a lot of unilateral stuff.
I do love unilateral. Minus lunges.
Yeah, minus lunges. Lunges
are regular traditional ones.
I had a consult the other day that I was like, you need to foretell your future into unilateral style exercises. The imbalance was so crazy from side to side for 4 years. I was like, even after you do the corrective work, you decompress all the tissues, kind of relieve the fascia, balance yourself out. Even in the future, been programmed for so many years to be imbalanced, just do unilateral. Do single-sided rows.
I love it.
Do one bicep. You got to do it like that so you can have that brain muscle kind of start to rewire yourself a little bit.
100%.
Try to do things together, you're going to start compensating. Too many old patterns. You got to break it. Like an addiction. Forbidden to go back to you doing squats. No, I'm just kidding. But yes. And then strengthening techniques for the inner thigh. We already spoke about that. Crush them with a block, with a ball. Follow that YouTube video where I go through that with Malia. May be a little boring, but it's going to get you right. So make sure you're strengthening your inner thighs if you want to ramp up your lower body strength.
Copenhagen planks, side planks are some of my favorite too on a bench. That it's all inner thigh.
All inner thigh.
All inner thigh.
You have a video of that? Can you do that when you go to Pinnacle?
I'm going to see Donna today. I could take a video of her doing it.
All right, cool. All right. And then the lower body strength and flexibility routine.
I think strengthening the feet is really important. I love, and I make a lot of clients put a band around one foot and hold a larger, like softball size type ball, and just do heel raises. But you have to squeeze the ball, and then you're being pulled from the band.
Yeah,
and that's
the feet, if they're weak, they're like flippers. They're not holding your structure up. It's like, what is that called? What you go swimming with?
Flippers, your fins.
The frog feet, frog legs, frog. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I'm super visual today.
Yeah, the little fleet, it flaps around without the ankle range and mobility. It's just flapping around. So make sure that, you're addressing also your footwork so much. Do your homework. We're going to put out stuff little by little, but you can also get on YouTube with some of the information we've given you and just foot exercises, I
have a video of the foot one too you can do.
Yeah,
you could put it on. It's so good.
Something I did not mention as of yet, which I left for last, was isometrics. You want to get into isometrics a little bit?
I love them.
Yeah.
I love eccentric isometrics the most. I think it's important to note that eccentric, so when the muscle lengthens, is where you build strength. And then when you contract, think like a bicep curl, you're contracting the bicep. That's where your power comes from. So slowing down and doing the work slow on that eccentric when the muscles are lengthening is really important because that's where the strength comes from. And then when you hold that position in that length and just are in that isometric, pairing it with some breath, you create deep stability. It's really good for your nervous system to feel safe. If you have any pain or chronic tight muscles and you hold them for a little bit, let's say 30 seconds to a few minutes, then you're telling your nervous system that this position is now safe, it is accessible, and I think that's like my favorite part of
the
isometrics is the communication between the nervous system and the brain to say, oh, we can be in this position.
It's okay.
And we can begin to feel safe by building the strength, because you do, usually if a muscle is chronically tight, it's weak. So you're lengthening that muscle out, but you're also creating strength, which staying in that elongated position for a little bit in that isometric then tells the nervous system like,
it's okay.
All right, I'm okay. And that will tell the brain like, I feel stable. You can turn off that chronic shortening and tightening to feel stable, and you will oftentimes get rid of that chronic feeling of like, I just need to stretch. I just need to stretch. But it always comes back because stretching is just a Band-Aid. It's really your nervous system being like, I don't feel safe in this position, so we're going to lock down. And that's like, nervous system is my favorite.
So isometrics are very special for those who are healing and trying to regain their confidence in their movements, in their stances.
And this could be for anybody, like people in the gym who are coming back from injuries. Yeah. Myself, for sure.
I like doing them because I need to know what the hell I'm doing sometimes.
Where am I?
So I think that's good. I kind of wanted to do something. I wanted to get Malia to lunge really quick, but...
What kind of lunge?
I wanted to fix your lunge. I want to fix your right leg. I don't know.
Oh, my right leg is the problem. Like, I know.
And then we're going to finish it off like that.
Being called out.
Right so I'm thinking I'm going to put it down.
And then I want to do the down dog thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get to some more. Step left foot forward. Okay, all right. It's your left foot forward, really, that needs to be addressed. All right. Oh, gosh.
I don't know. What do you want me to do?
All right, hold on.
No, I don't know. Tell me what to
go
do.
back. Leave the left foot forward and the right one back. All right. Okay. Now get that right heel up and lift it, right?
So high.
Yeah. So you're going to inner spiral that right upper inner thigh and let that right heel come a little bit more to the right side. So you got to kind of, that's it. That's perfect. Rotate it again internally from the highest level of your upper inner thigh. So that upper inner thigh on the right can be internally screwed, like you are pointing that right hip forward in my direction. So you can bring that right hip more to the front. Yeah, that's better. Now put some weight into that left heel, so really drive that left heel down. Now place your toes and go ahead and hinge that left hip back as you're inner spiraling the right thigh. Don't let that right heel go back to the right. Keep inner spiraling. Inner spiral more. I'm gonna come around and manually fix you because you need a little bit more manual adjustment. So you're gonna see that from here, this higher up level. Keep squeezing this one. Keep squeezing. Keep squeezing more. Go more and more. You got it. Keep
so you
going.
want me to rotate?
Is that off? Yeah, it's not, but is that
But
off?
my hip is pointing that way.
It's fine. It's straight.
Okay. My hips aren't straight.
Now it's correct. You'll see in the video.
Okay, but look, my hip points are literally pointing that way.
That's good.
Oh, that's what
where
you want.
It needs to be. Yeah.
I thought you wanted me to be forward.
No, like that. Because that's inner spiral of the thigh. Good. All right, and then step it forward. Good. Now do that same left leg on the side profile. So, left foot is forward. Right foot is back. I'm gonna show you how I know that she's also out of alignment because I can still see her right booty cheek. So squeeze that right inner thigh more internally. Good. Better. Feels different?
Well, then my rib cage should be pointing to the left.
No, rib cage center. Let the hip just drive it. Yeah, because the hip. Now what you have to do is breathe. You have to decompress and breathe because that's what's gonna straighten you out. Not moving the rib cage, but instead inhaling and lifting and lengthening up. You know that already, but it just feels different because this looks pretty. This is very nice. This is like an active booty. And then driving into this heel, pinky toe connection, big toe, all of them nice and gripping. Heel pressure here, and then that's it. Yeah, breathe, keep breathing up.
So we're gonna demonstrate what a lot of people do in down dog because so often the cue is to straighten the legs. But what happens when Annette goes back to a down dog and she keeps her legs straight, tuck your pelvis a little, good. Straighten your legs and tuck your pelvis.
I can't.
I know. Straighten your legs.
Wait, I gotta do like this.
We have to modify because Nanette has a beautiful. Hold on.
Hold on.
Tuck your pelvis. Yeah. So yes. Okay. So here her pelvis is rounding because her hamstrings are pulling her down because we've told them to straighten their legs and try to push their heels to the ground. So her back, low back, is taking a lot of flexion and compressing, but what we really want is a neutral spine so that there's no compression in the low back. So she's gonna walk it back a little bit. Nope, walk your hands forward. Now take your feet back a little.
You wanna go?
She's gonna soften her knees, let her heels be heavy. And did you see that in her pelvis, how it shifted? And now she has this really nice long spine. You wanna make sure the ribs aren't splaying. Splay your ribs a little bit, let them, right? We wanna make sure we're not doing that, but she wants to pull the front of ribs in. She's got this nice long spine. Her booty's pointing up, so she has this soft bend in her knees, which allows the hamstrings to still stretch because she's still trying to put her heels on the ground. Now listen, we're working with Nanette. She's like a rock star. But for so many of us, keeping our knees bent and trying to get the heels down are gonna work that hamstring flexibility as opposed to trying to straighten the legs and then we're compressing the back. So I want you to think about that and play with that in your next downward facing dog.
You know what I feel? The worst? The shoulders. Like I feel like the shoulders with the legs locked is just like, I feel the shoulders just fucking
Well, especially anybody who's really tight, and for so many of the men, they get into this like rounded position.
So you're gonna mess up your shoulders if you have also that locked knee thing. It's not gonna let you kind of fit into the window of the arms, kind of.
Keep your knees bent.
Yeah.
Soft bent. Like I can keep my knees softly bent and put my heels down just like Nanette can too. So she has this, right? She has the flexibility, but her spine isn't taking the load to do that. So often what happens when we're trying to straighten the legs is this pelvis is going to tuck and she's going to round that low back. And that's not what we're going for because that's just counteracting
that looks like shit.
all of the work.
Like shit.
Yeah.
It hurts to do things wrong, eh? Yeah, this is definitely, listen, even with yoga, I always keep my heels softly lifted. I just feel like I can get more of the hinge. I think about it like hinging on
also keeping your legs straight. If you don't have the dorsiflexion of your ankle, then that's also not going to happen. So those things aren't often taken into consideration when we're teaching and thinking about a group setting. But definitely keep your spine long, keep your knees soft, heels are heavy.
Heels are a little bit.
You're pressing through the big toe mound, which is going to inner spiral those femur bones.
Once again, check out for this stuff.
Going to pull you back, which will create space for your shoulders.
Yeah. Big difference is it goes up the line a lot. It goes up the chain a lot, the down dogging correctly.
Yes. And anyone who tells you that down dog is a resting pose, please walk out of their class immediately.
No, it's not.
It's
hard.
Very active, hard pose.
It's like a stretch and you're also working your upper body quite a bit. So you're loading and you're stretching a lot of stuff from your plantar. Good if you do it right and you gain that strength little by little. The planking, mastering the planking will help you master your down dog, you know. Without the plank basic, it's like, if you can't master this, you know, you're not going to be able to kind of, and ideally when you're doing down dog to plank, you want to keep the feet in place. A lot of people will start to like, no, listen, the yogis, the one thing I can give them credit for is that they make sense. They did it so you can go like a nice closed chain loop from a plank to a down dog without even moving your feet if you angle it correctly. If you're having to change like this, once you're in your down dog position, you're gonna have to really work on your plank and check your plank position. So you should go smoothly moving through ball and socket joints of hips, kind of in a seesaw method. So
absolutely,
you know, so it's yogi stuff. Well, all right, grounded in motion. Hope you enjoyed. Hard work. I'm tired just talking about working out. How's that possible? I'll see you guys. See you for the next one.
Bye.
Subscribe, like, drop comments, let us know.
Share. Okay.
Ooh, that felt terrible on my shoulder.
That felt terrible.